The Backrooms. A famous example of lost media. Once an old furniture store, and now an RC racing track. Overall, the influence of the Backrooms has been one you don't really need to explain if you've been on the internet any time in the past 4 to 5 years. The Backrooms just cemented itself as one of those examples of internet horror. Yet, as you may have seen around 2 months ago, or from either me or popular YouTubers like Farrell McGuire, the location had been found. So, that was it, right? Mystery over? Not at all. While some incredible people had found the location, there was still much about it that we didn't know anything about. Its history, what the place used to look like, and the question, will the Backrooms ever make a return? Well, with the help of people in contact with the owner, those who found the location, and fellow YouTubers like Farrell McGuire, I'll be covering all of the history of the Backrooms, its location, new photos, and new information about Hobbytown, USA in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, aka the location of the Backrooms. And I would like to thank the aforementioned Farrell McGuire and also Namaid for joining me later in the video. File 1. The history... Wait. Most people don't make it to the end of YouTube videos, so I'll say this now. Currently and ongoing, there is a GoFundMe for the repairs of the building where the Backrooms photo was taken. I will go into much more detail about this later on in the video, but if at all possible, please donate to this GoFundMe or spread its existence, because if the goal is reached, the Backrooms might just make a return. But more on that later. Now, where was I? File 1. The history of Roner's Furniture in Hobbytown, USA. In terms of history, let's talk about the location itself. Something I haven't seen many videos on. Now, the beginning will be a bit quick, as there were a lot of people who seem to have owned the location before and after heavy hitters like Roner's Furniture did. And I want to thank Nim for her incredible history doc and information she gave me regarding the location's past. But nonetheless, let's just get into it. The date is July 18th, 1913, and an article is published for the Oshkosh Northwestern advertising a new Baum & Collin department store at 806 and 808 Workin Street. It looks like this is what came before Roner's, but more on that later. Baum & Collin would later go on to change their name to Hirschberg's. And years later, a paper is written with a photo of the front of the Hirschbergs during their lost their lease sale. It looks like Hirschbergs were the first people to inhabit the Backrooms building, trademark pending. But it doesn't look like they were the ones who made it look like how it was in the famous photo, because they went out of business. So, let's try again. The date is now January 28th, 1958. Another article is written for the Oshkosh Northwestern advertising the new Roner's Furniture grand opening at 807 Orchid Street. But wait, 807? I thought the buildings were 806 and 808. Well, that would be true, but it looks like the city of Oshkosh went under major address renaming, and 806 and 808 has now been turned into 807 and 811. Upon their grand opening, 5,000 people managed to visit Roner's Furniture, which the owners later thanked everyone for. Years later, they would remodel their second floor, seemingly making it public for the first time. And in the east room of the second floor, well. Unfortunately, though, in 1994, Roner's would start to go out of business and would begin saying that the building was up for either sale or leasing. Overall, Roner's Furniture would stay open for around 36 years and 6 months, if I calculated right, before the third-generation owner, Tom, would finish leasing out the property, and Roner's was gone. So, hey, it looks like Roner's Furniture was the store that actually occupied the Backrooms picture, which was in its second floor. But Roner's went out of business, so what happened to the space we now know as the Backrooms before the photo was taken? Now, from here to the next major owners, it was a bit blurry. There were businesses such as Miles Kimball's Warehouse Outlet and Knox Furniture Outlet, but from what I was told by Nim, it doesn't seem like there was much to note about these businesses, other than the fact that they simply inhabited the first floor of 807. And in the midst of all this chaos of people moving in and out, the building possibly being renovated, and this and that, a photo was taken. And another. And more. In 2002, the year the Backrooms photo was taken. Located in the back corner of the East Room on the second floor of 807 Oregon Street, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. As for the other photos, I'll analyze those in the next section. These photos were later uploaded to Hobbytown USA's website, showing progress of the renovations of the building that they intended to turn into an RC raceway. And in the following year, a building permit was given to the new owner, named Bob Mazza, with the intent of adding new restrooms, walls, windows, and a new suspended ceiling to the second floor. From here, the renovations were complete, and everything would pretty much go on as usual, until May 12th of 2019. If you're not careful, and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbuzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell heard you. It never gets old, does it? I've honestly read that so many times I don't even have to look at the post when writing it, I just know it by heart. Of course, over these following years, wikis, found footage, fandoms, games, and everything you can think of was created in some form or context for the Backrooms. Tens of millions of people would begin to know what the concept was. There's even a movie coming out about it. These dingy old yellow rooms that smell of poorly maintained carpet, with lights that clearly needed to be changed due to the sound of their buzzing in combination with their yellow tone. And then, on May 29th of this year, the location was found. The current owner of the location is Robert J. Mazza, or just Bob. He owns the Hobbytown USA building that used to inhabit the Backrooms in its second floor. Hobbytown is the largest brick-and-mortar hobby realtor in the world, with the goal of sharing its passion of hobbies with contagious enthusiasm. And this is what the Backrooms look like now. No, literally, this is where in the room the photo was taken, facing this way. I know, it looks nothing like it, does it? Also, special thanks to my talented, yes, I'm calling you out for being talented, friend, Regularly Blue, for getting this footage. He actually went to the building himself on vacation and got to meet Bob. This is a real photo of Blue. He's just blue. Now, the actual room where the photo was taken used to be a furniture display with thin wall dividers that would showcase wallpaper and furniture, and it has now been renovated into an RC raceway where people can race each other. And yeah, that's pretty much all the general history about it. There's a lot more nitty-gritty details, but they just aren't necessary for the sake of this video. And especially recently, people have went up to visit the place themselves. You can also just look up tours of the building on YouTube if you want to see what it looks like now. But that's only about a third of what I have to say today. There is still plenty more to the Backrooms than just its history. That we actually managed to get in contact with the owners, and before the GoFundMe drops, we got to see all of the new photos. File 2. New photos, and an expansion of liminality. Now, I would have started working on this video much earlier, but there was one reason I did not, and that was to respect the owner. As I said, the owner had given us new photos, but he didn't want us to share them until August 3rd, when the GoFundMe that would contain all of them dropped. In fact, I'm actually recording this before the GoFundMe even releases. So, hello, future people. So, let's take a look at all of these new photos, shall we? Now, of course, some of these photos I won't be giving an in-depth explanation on, as there are literally 93 that haven't been released until the time of this video. Some of the photos I won't be explaining are flashing on screen right now. These photos either aren't super visually interesting, there's nothing to note, or they simply just aren't the funny yellow rooms that everyone likes. But nonetheless, it is still cool to see all of these photos that I imagine mean a lot to Bob and his friends. So, to start, let's look at the first floor of the 807 side of the building. All of these photos are in the lobby of the empty Roners, which is now the main entrance to the Hobbytown, USA building. Most of these are well lit during the day, and then there's this horrifying, creepy thing. And this one is actually directly under the OG image. In fact, let me use some CGI magic to go through the ceiling. You see? There it is. Next, these are of the mezzanine. This is basically a half floor that leads up to the second floor where the OG image was taken. Can't see it in these photos, but to the right there are doors that lead to two staircases that head to the west room. Now, here is the previously mentioned west room on the second floor. These rooms are, unironically and funnily enough, the most yellow. They're even yellower than the actual Backrooms photo. But one of these was already public at the time of making this video. Funnily enough, you can also see a renovation pic where the lights are literally piss yellow. Now, these next ones have been public, but they aren't very well known. This is the 807 side of the building. Basically, Roner's Furniture was two buildings put into one, 807 and 811. And when the building was sold out, one of the sides was taken by Hobbytown USA, and the other was taken by a company known as Fabulous Finds. These green images are basically what the other side of the building that is now walled off looked like. Now, as it goes without saying, pretty much everyone has seen these two, so I don't have to explain them. But I will be showing the layout later in this video to make sense of where they are. The original image and this one with arches are actually in opposite corners of the same room. And there's this, a new photo in the exact same room. To get an idea as to where this photo is, the photo with the arches, if you're the cameraman, just turn to the right, and that's where this new photo is. And the room you can see in the back of this new photo is the room in the back of the original image. So those are the same, to elaborate a bit more. Now, here are some of my favorites. These are reno pics taken in the same original image room, but after all the wall dividers and arches had been ripped out. You can actually still see the wall trims, wall bumpers, and even some of the wallpaper if you look really closely at some of these images. And in one of them, the carpet has been just completely ripped up, and the room just looks in complete shambles. Now, to end things off, the best photo that came out of this. Drumroll, please. This real and incredibly liminal photo of the owner, Bob, in the building during the renovations. And that's a pretty good majority of all the Backrooms-related photos. But I'll let people go to the GoFundMe link in the description below to see all of them. And of course, these will all be archived and backed up so that they aren't lost in the spiderweb that is the internet. It is crazy to think we got this many new photos, because there was realistically a great chance the building had either been demolished or there was no new photos taken. So I'm just incredibly grateful that we got all of these new photos. File 3. The Saving of Robert's Hobbytown and the Return of the Backrooms. Now, as you might be able to assume by the name of this section, this is where a couple elements such as the GoFundMe, Return of the Backrooms, and a little something I've been cooking up for Bob come into play. But first, and most importantly, the GoFundMe. Now, unfortunately, the building that used to contain the Backrooms is an old building. It has been around for over 100 years. And because of this, the building has begun to show the signs of aging that come with that. Bob himself has said that he's literally seen bricks fall off of the ceiling from the outside, and he fears one good snowstorm could just do the building in. And of course, that is bad for, everyone. Sure, us backroomers would be sad about the location being inevitably demolished, but more importantly, Bob, He's been taking care of the building for decades now, and I don't think he would like to see it, not be there. Now, the goal was 100,000 for this GoFundMe, which at first I did think was a lot, but believe me when I say this, it would be worthwhile for everyone. The Backrooms community is huge, like crazy large. There is plenty more than 100,000 members in it, as there have been millions of people who have viewed, watched, and enjoyed Backrooms content. So it isn't out of reason to assume that if just 100,000 out of those millions of people donated $1, that is it. Done. Goal reached. And hell, if everyone donated $5, that would just be 20,000 people. So I know when a YouTuber asks people to donate to a cause, it typically just flies right over their head. And honestly, I don't actually blame anyone for that, because it isn't easy to just give away money. Yep. Nonetheless, it would just mean the world to me, Nim, Farrell, and everyone who helped Bob set this up. But of course, also Bob himself, who I think would love to see this going and just see how much people care about the Backrooms and effectively his own building. Now, I said that this would be worth it for the Backrooms community, so I'm going to let Farrell McGuire and Nim explain exactly what I mean by that, as I think that they can explain it much better than I can. So, let's hear their thoughts on the whole situation, and what I mean by the fact that the Backrooms might be returning.
The entire history of this photo started in April 2018. That was it. That was the earliest known instance on the internet of the Backrooms photo. And look where we are now. We know exactly where the photo was taken. We know when it was taken. We have the original file. We have 109 other original files that come from the same batch of photos the original photo came from. People have been to this place. People have interviewed the owner. I've interviewed the owner for my video. I just can't really get over that fact. It's crazy. And the owner is collaborating with the community. It's just crazy. I can't think of another lost media search that has had results like this. The GoFundMe is, so Bob needs about $120,000 to repair the Backrooms building. So it's twofold. We're saving the Backrooms building to preserve internet history, I guess, but we're also saving Hobbytown. We're saving a man's family business that has operated for 20 years, that has employed members of his family, his friends, many people in the community. As Bob said in my video, Hobbytown is an unusual hobby store. It's very large. I would love to visit someday, even just to look at RC cars and drones and stuff. But Bob needs $120,000. And to repair a commercial building, that's not actually a huge amount of money. He's mostly repairing the roof and I think some of the brickwork as well. And like you said, Kaufman, if, the Backrooms community is big. If everybody donates a small amount of money, it will go a long way. I have no doubt we can reach that goal. And the incentives are pretty great. Bob is giving away the camera. Well, if the goal is reached anyways, Bob is giving away the camera that took the Backrooms picture. The camera. You can take that camera and go out and take your own Backrooms picture if you want, if you win it. He's also putting on Backrooms events, where I guess he's going to put up some fake walls and recreate the actual original space in his building, which is mind-boggling. I mean, I already said it earlier, I just can't think of a lost media search that has had results like this. But I think the Backrooms is kind of special. It's not just a lost piece of media, it's like a subgenre of internet culture. I don't know, internet horror, what can you even call the Backrooms? All right, that's all I got.
Well, thank you for joining in, Farrell. But what did he mean by the fact that the Backroom space was going to be recreated? Well, I'm going to let Nim explain that. So, now, welcome Ella.
I'm really excited for the Backrooms days. Obviously, they won't be happening unless the GoFundMe is fully funded, and I want to be clear that some of the details about how the space is going to be converted for the photo days might change. But we already have a pretty good idea of how it's going to work. Bob has some of the original carpet, and if needed, he can buy more to match the original. First, this carpet would be placed over the existing carpet. Next, we would use lightweight foam panels with wallpaper and 3D printed joints to reconstruct the false walls. Finally, we would use cutouts along the real walls to restore the original wallpaper, the old doorway, etc. The end result would be a removable recreation of the space suitable for taking photos and walking around in. That's pretty exciting to me because with all the new photos and the new blueprints we just got, we were able to figure out so much about the layout that we just would have never been able to know before. Ever since I first heard about the Backrooms, I've wanted to walk around in the space exactly like it showed up in the original picture, and if the GoFundMe goal is reached, it looks like there will be nothing stopping everyone from finally being able to do just that. It's all very exciting, but enough of me, back to Kaufman.
Well, thank you, Nim. That explained our plans for if the GoFundMe reaches its goal very well, and the possibility of recreating the backroom space literally at the location. But, hey, even if the GoFundMe doesn't reach its goal, it'll be okay, because I have a few plans to bring it back myself. Now, I can't turn back time or remake the building. I am 15 after all, but I can digitally recreate it. These aren't new photos, these are all just renders. With real blueprints and new images, I was able to reconstruct almost every part of the building. And since I have the blueprints, the layout should check out and be as close to one-to-one as I can reasonably get. This recreation includes the first floor of 807, the second floor of 811, the mezzanine, the staircases that lead to the second floor, the west room on the second floor, and the east oval room on the second floor. I made this for many reasons, mainly for the owner. There's just this certain feeling about recreating a space that doesn't exist anymore, or doesn't exist in the same fashion, that just can't be described, and I imagine it must be a similar feeling for Bob himself. But I did also make this for the community, of course. While it isn't official, there is still a chance we give all these images and videos to Bob, so we can use them in his store as he does get frequent backroom visitors. These renders and images could be sold in any fashion Mr. Mazza wishes. But, like I said, nothing about this aspect is confirmed yet. I'm just honored that it is being considered. And, as it goes without saying, I'll be using these in a future video as well. And, Bob, if you're watching this, thank you. For your patience, your kindness, and your open-mindedness. I hope the Hobbytown USA GoFundMe surpasses your expectation. It is truly crazy how far the history, story, and mystery of the Backrooms has come. From a once eerie internet post holding a strange yellow image we all used to think was an office, to a real place with people who care deeply about it, and a community that came from that. Let's hope that GoFundMe works out. Bob's Hobbytown lives on, and the Backrooms return. Thank you to everyone who made it to the end of this video. I'm still a small creator, so it means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed the recreations of the building that I made, how it used to look in the photos, the people who joined me along the way, and I hope people are considering donating to the GoFundMe, or at least spreading the word about it. But, as always, keep an eye out.